what are we expecting to see changed, guys? What are we... Because I'm just going to look at these cards to start with. But we've got a balance patch coming up in a week. Just over a week, I would imagine. Next Tuesday or Wednesday. What's changing? What do we think is going to change? And how? Because in terms of these cards... Maybe Regents gets a slight buff. But if he does, I'm inclined to say it's only to take it to 6 power. I don't think you change the provisions for the reason I've just said. If this card is good, this card it could be the best card in the game if it's too cheap. So, and you can't make it too unanswerable. But maybe just taking it to 6 power would be really nice. I was originally really scared of this card, but it's almost been cut already, and so I'm inclined to think this probably doesn't get changed. The Witchfinder. I don't know what you guys think of Octavia Hale, but she seems... So I don't think that'll change. She Who Knows feels reasonable because it's so answerable in so many ways that you can't really protect this card from a simple lock. It also tends to get heat waved or whatever. So I'm kind of fine with this at 13. So if Rience is too good, you have to build around him. But by build around him, it's just play Hyperthin and play Rico at best, which isn't that bad. But I know what you mean about Junior. I know Junior is still very, very good. I don't think we see any change to Fulmar unless it may be because of its play rate. I think it's getting a decent amount of play, so I don't think this will be changed. I don't think it's as good as we all hoped, but I think I'm inclined to say it probably doesn't change. I don't know what you guys think about that, but I'm inclined to say this probably stays the same. Gerhardt, at the moment, it's played in basically every NR deck, but it's played as a 13 for 11 more often than not, right? So I don't think that's particularly broken or needs a swift change. Francesca, the problem with Francesca is she dies very easy. Like, she doesn't necessarily find her value, but I think that's more about Scoia'tael in general than Francesca. Hey, Basticide, good morning, my friend. But do we think this card sees a change? Did everyone have a good weekend? I did have a good weekend. I was exhausted. My weekend was very tiring. I got to see friends for the first time since my first operation, and I've missed them greatly. So I felt both exhausted and recharged. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I don't think that this card is bad. I think that currently Scoia isn't. It's just that Scoia''s not quite there. So yeah, I'm more inclined to say it's less about Francesca. Whether they buff this card to help that or not, I'm not sure how you buff it. Like, how do you make this card better? Like the Meave treatment, because this Meave went in. I don't know how. Had a ceiling, right? But you're not going to give Francesca the same thing as Meave, right? You can't do that, surely. I don't know, maybe you can, but because it's really hard to pull off. But the fact that this does something, I don't know. I'm not convinced you ever do that, because I don't actually think it's as big a buff for this as it was for Meave. So I don't know. This should have helped Engine Elves in theory. Because if you draw 2 junk cards in a short round 3 or whatever, also this art is stunning. We need to give more love to this art. But because you lose the 2 cards in your hand anyway, effectively it's not amazing, right? It's just, I mean, these trade, your Deadeyes trade for 9. You can draw cards that are worse than Wailing. Yes, that's true. Yes, you could. And it's also great against Clog. But, I mean, these Waylays are 9-point Waylays, right? So, if you get the Death Blow, each of these Waylays is a 9. Which is pretty nice. If you go into a 4-card round with Elves, because this isn't what people are doing, right? People are still playing Elf Traps and trying to get the very, very end to be the longer round where it's just trap, Eldain, Venosiel. The idea should be, similar to Koshi, you go for a 4 or 5 card round. You keep your leader charges, and then you play the Vanadain, all of this scenario, that kind of stuff. But it's just not quite the one. This card certainly needs something, but I think the actual way the card functions is the problem. Rather than its base power level. Right? Huaxu, thank you for the follow, my friend. It's anti-thin. Oh, kind of. Oh, Spessy coming in with the raid. I would like a wall of Lionheart raids to defend from these disgusting people coming over from Spessy's channel. What's up, bud? How are you doing? Lionheart raid. Defend! Defend this channel immediately. We will not take any nonsense from this bunch coming over from Spessy's channel. This is the closest thing to a pyramid. Thanks, Monkey. How are you doing, chap? I hope you had a good stream. I'm just going through, at the moment, for all of you that have just joined. Tyrion Barbaronzi, welcome to the channel. There was another Waylay combo. What an emote that is. Hey, the Pabs is a legend. That's all I'm saying. The Pabs is a legend. My shield, my crest, it is there to defend. It is there to defend. Elmer, thank you for the follow as well. Welcome to the channel. So yeah, I feel like this card needs some sort of rework in terms of how it functions. Maybe you could choose whether or not you keep the Waylay, so it's draw 2 cards. Maybe it's spawn 2 Waylays, and then choose 2 cards to put back into your deck. Do you know what I mean? Because at the moment, if I draw this and 2 cards, I have to keep the Waylays. Hit at the gym, yes, lad, let's go. I think I said it earlier on your channel. I'm gonna do Ko's 90-day challenge with him. Obviously, I have knee surgery next Monday, but then as soon as I restart, like as soon as I'm back in, it's gonna be physio, and then exercise, and every day. And I'm gonna do like a weekly update. I think we're gonna do exercise every day, whether that's gonna be cycling, weights, sit-ups, whatever it is. And yes, chat, you will be able to help force me along with this. I probably am going to get a second camera set up so that we can do the exercise down there. It should be good. Small rework to be playable card on its own. I know what you mean, yeah, Waylay doesn't feel great, but then it is yeah, I know what you mean. Guided Fiber, welcome to the channel. So yeah, Vanadane feels like it needs just a little. Just end up mulliganing him. Yeah, this is the problem, right? That strenuous exercise after a surgery, I have to get stronger. That's what it comes down to. I will be doing my rehab, but the rehab will all be on my legs. It doesn't mean that I can't still lift for my arms, my chest, you know, that kind of stuff. So I will be doing as much of that as I can. A lot of it will be from here. But yeah, I've usually got a cycling after knee surgery. Cycling is the best thing you can do once you can move it. Because cycling is all of the motion, but none of the pressure or weight. People think cycling's bad for your knees. Cycling is incredible for your knees. The only thing better is swimming, because it's completely pressureless. Discard the cards instead of bottom. Mate, I mean, I don't know, because there's no discard synergy. I just think you should be able to choose whether you keep the Waylays or not. Do you know what I mean? Because, So yeah, I think this could do with a bit of a change. Swimming is great for rehab. Yeah, swimming is great for rehab. There is a flex emote. There is a flex emote, but only tier 3. So only tier 3 guys get that. Lionheart flex. Yes. Yes, I finished work early today, Radio. Knee issue because you have flat feet and cycling is really good. Yeah. Should have a row lock like Anna, and then he'd be a 6. Yeah, maybe. I don't dislike that he's supposed to synergize with kind of Elf Swarm. It's just the way that it works feels awkward. But yeah, love this card. Wow, I love this card. So good. So good. It's just the deck around it isn't amazing, but this card, really nice. Really nice. I love the variety and the versatility that it gives you. It feels really just really enjoyable. The fact the art is also stunning is amazing. But yeah, it feels good to play this card. The synergy that you get with it, I'm completely happy with where this card is, even if I'm not happy with where the archetype is. I don't think Bounty needs any more oppressive tools, but equally this card is not going to see play, so if it's not now, a month from now, it may well need some. So, some sort of change. How can you I don't actually have an OnlyFans, alright? Don't actually have an OnlyFans. No one's paying for that, alright? No one's buying that, I promise you. Nobody is buying that. How you doing, Redanian? Love the Thanos effect with the green screen. Oh, is it doing it again? I can't see, because when I look here, it's fine. But if I look at you guys... Oh. Yeah, if I look at you guys, there's a problem. Hang on. My ring light has just decided to try and cuddle my microphone, so I'm going to be right back while I work out how that's happened. So if you could not do that, that'd be great. There we go. Fixed. Fixed. Hopefully the green screen will behave itself. It's because the lighting's kind of difficult, because it's changing all day. Am I sure? Have I tried? No, I have not. No, nobody wants that, alright? Nobody wants a Lionheart OnlyFans, I promise you. Promise you. We live in a society. Yeah, he does. He does. You wouldn't allow this man to get more tattoos. Check the hairdo out. Check the... Oh, just no. So yeah, I don't... The card isn't bad. There are just options that it just doesn't need it, right? Outlaw 256. But I don't expect to see it get changed. Obviously, we already know Dead Man's Tongue is going to stop showing you card order because that was unintentional. So that is a nerf, albeit just to make the card where it was. Still think it's very good. When do Tia and I broadcast together again? So we're not casting this month at all. I'm prepping for knee surgery. She has a thesis to write. I would expect to see us again towards the... You'll see us at some point in July. I'm pretty sure you'll see us towards the end of July somewhere. It's probably the best I can say for you for now, and then we go from there. But yes, don't worry, we will be back. Obviously, we cast a lot in a short period of time. We had Open 1 for this season. We had Aretusa's World Cup. We had a lot of qualifiers, and then, of course, World Masters, all in about 2.5 months. So it was like bang, 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 bang. But now Tia is writing her thesis. I have, of course, been at work preparing for knee surgery, so I've been a bit busy. Yeah. Yeah, I think Jackpot certainly is going to get a sizable change. I think it has to lose at least 2 provisions for me, personally. And Jackpot's scary. I think Jackpot is very, 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 very strong. Sishahot, thank you. Sishahot? I may have said your name wrong. Feel free to correct me. Welcome to the channel. Old cards get the Nerf hammer. Some will. I mean, I can see some changes as well. Ratcatcherous I'm fine with. Istrid, it's a shame, because you don't see much of this card. I mean, in a Patience deck you do, I suppose. You know what I mean? Syndicate is very strong. Syndicate's crazy. Syndicate right now is in a really, really, really good place. And we all know when you nerf Syndicate, it then is either top tier or bottom tier. So I don't know if you see... I think Istrid's seeing enough play consistently that it probably doesn't get changed. You're not making it 6 for 6 with this ability. Let's put it like that. And the ability is nice enough for NR that I don't think we hate it. Casting Contest, I think is fine. Hysteria, I don't think is going to get changed. Buffed or nerfed. You could not make this a 4. You just could not make this a 4. Yeah, Istrid feels bad if you're drawing him in round 3, unless it's a long round 3. In which case, not really. And a lot of the time, these NR lists are engine. So you kind of want them in the long round 3, right? Garncane, simple, tall. The only thing I'd like to see changed in this is the voice lines, because they really feel out of place. No offense whoever did the voice lines. Best bronze in the game. Best bronze in the game. It's not even close. It's not even funny. This for me needs a double nerf. If I'm like the overall package needs a significant change. If this card was a 6 provision gold, it would still be in every Nilfgaard list. For me. If this is a 6 provision gold, you still play it in every Nilfgaard list. The spread of the points is phenomenal. The thinning is... it's... Yeah. I can't really emphasize it any more than that. This definitely, if this doesn't see a nerf, I will be stunned. I don't necessarily think they will double nerf it. I think it perhaps just goes to 6p to start with. A good bronze outside this card, so he would play in any... Okay, that's also a valid point. I don't disagree with you on that point. But it is also still... Okay, let me rephrase that. If you pick this card up, pick the Blightmaker package up and put it in any faction, you run it in every faction. Even if it is almost at the point of anti-synergy. Even at the point of anti-synergy, you probably run this in every deck, in every faction if you can. For just the sheer... An 11 for 5 with thinning and damage and spread. Like, that's the level of crazy this card is. And ultimately, they will look at the play rate. There's no situation where this package doesn't get a nerf. Now, whether that nerf is different, we'll see. Yeah, I don't want to kill. And again, I am not against Nilfgaard having things. Fine with Nilfgaard having things. Fine with every faction having things. It's good for the game. So I don't want to see this, you know, become a 1 power 7 provision bronze. But honestly, it needs at least a provision, if not more. 6 for 11 is still amazing, still incredible. But when is the next patch? It'll be after this weekend. Actually, the top. Yeah, so you got the top 16 this weekend. Is my under? No, you don't. It's open. It's the Open this weekend, right? So you'll have Open 2 this weekend, and then the Tuesday after the Open is the patch. 8 stats for 5 plus thinning is what other factions have. Yeah, this is power crept by a huge percentage. So yeah, but so I think we all know this is going to change. We all know this is going to change. I like this card. This card's fine in the sense that if it's removed, it still needs an answer. But we're in an engine meta where Scoia'tael's engines are slower than everybody else's engines. You know what I mean? Wholesome cards like Soldiers. I don't think they're putting any attention into the Soldier archetype because it's really simple at the moment. I hope they do. I agree with you. Yeah. I would love them to buff Soldiers. But Soldiers is very... To make Soldiers good, you have to... The current cards need massive, massive buffs, right? And they're still just going to be... like, very samey, very non-Nilfgaardy, the way Nilfgaard currently is built to be. I don't think that's a bad thing, but I'm not convinced they think it's a good thing. Yeah. The problem with this is it competes in a 5p slot, and that's kind of the problem, right? Scoia'tael is now in... Particularly this engine list, it's got so many cards, all of them want to be played at the same time again. Yeah. So... They're definitely... Yeah, Cloggers... I mean, I hate Cloggers. You know my opinion on this. It should be deleted from the game. Deck manipulation is fine, but... Ugh. This card is terrible. Really don't like this card. It does... Even in the archetype it's built for, it's not good enough to go in the list. So you just don't run this card. I think this definitely needs some sort of change. I don't know how... Maybe just a single power to make it 4-1. Because the engine that it creates, this is... It's a drummer, but... I don't know. The fact that it spawns rain is nice and the synergy is really cool, but it just doesn't feel good enough. If you... Just a single power on this, and all of a sudden it's just... Yeah. Yeah, to be honest, leave it as it is, but make this Zeal, and I'm fine. Yeah. Make this Zeal, and I'm okay with it. Maybe it's Zeal, spawn rain for 1 turn, order, spawn rain for another turn. Do you know what I mean? Like, I suppose the problem with that is it is anti-synergy for having rain. But I'd be fine with that, honestly. Zeal, spawn rain for a turn, order, spawn rain for a second turn. Then I'm fine. But again, the engine value of this compared to the engine value of something else, the lack of tempo for this card, it's like, cool, I'm playing a 3. I haven't even got my effect enabled unless I've used a leader charge. Like, it's just so awkward. So I think this Zeal on this would be really nice, even if it's Zeal then order. I'd really like this. This is like a drummer, but worse. Right? It's a slower drummer. So... yeah. Feels... yeah, this is a very underwhelming card, I agree with you. Very underwhelming as a card. Similar. Beta Revenants replaced with a flute-playing lady. But triggered by specials instead of spells. Cool concept. Fun. But again, in the 5-piece slot where you're competing with other cards, do you want... it's 4 stats too strong. That's the problem, right? Yes. Yeah. It makes every special +4. That's better than Ethne in Symbiosis, right? That's... so doing your beard like this, nice. I approve. I don't know. I'm not sure how you make this. Maybe someone, I think it was J. William James, posted a version of this, and the deploy version was all of this, but it also spawned Thor. But that was the deploy version. So on deploy, it was already a 7 for 5. Now maybe Thor isn't the best example because it's 7 for 5 plus some extra veil, which is scary. But yeah, I think, yeah. That's kind of the problem with this, right? It's another card that wants to be played at the same time, that plays for such slow tempo initially. It's just kind of awkward, I think. It's a cool idea and the synergy's really fun if your opponent has no interest in your side of the board. And even if they don't, you probably still don't have as many points as Thrive, right? So, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure how you do it, and I don't think you want it to spawn a base copy of itself on deploy, just simply because the idea is to swarm, right? It's hard to have more points than Thrive. Yeah, okay, fair point, but that's my idea of current Solitaire. Certainly in a 5-card round, anyway. So yeah, this isn't necessarily a card you're choosing to play. I don't think this needs changing because it's more of another alchemy card in the 4-piece slot. Love this, don't think this needs a change, and I love the way it works in the faction. I don't think teleportation needs changing. It was obviously created for Gankane and situational other times, basically to give you another option off Gerhardt at 4. I'm fine with that. Love semi-portal. Yes, these should be called semi-portals, and I will not hear anything else on the subject. I love the Megascope. This card's so cool, although it is a massive nerf to meme cards like Anglimeme, but I like this. When did we even turn that on? No scope. I like it. I like this card. I do. Bannard Student. Is the card great? Yes. Is it seeing lots of play? Yes. Does it need changing? I'm inclined to say no. Hang on, someone just knocked at my door, chat. I'll be 2 seconds. Just junk mail. Nothing we're worried about. So yeah, Bannard Student. Yes, it's crazy good, and especially with the Shani. But I don't expect to see a change to it, and I don't necessarily think it's... As a 4 for 4, it's a little scary. But to make it really good, you kind of need the Shani play as well, so... Yeah, the cat learned to knock. The cat's clever. Now this card, I think this one probably needs to change. But which way do you go with it? And I'm curious which way you guys... In fact, I'm gonna create a poll on this, chat, because I want to know your opinion. I want to see if you guys agree with me or someone else. Now, I trust this person's opinion on this in terms of competitive levels more than me. I was just surprised. So, new poll. Which nerf? 3 power, 5 provisions, prov, or 4 power, 5 prov? I'm going to give you a 2-minute poll. And I'm interested to see which way you guys go with this. Because it's one or the other, right? It's one or the other. You can keep it at 4 power, Oh, sorry, it's 3 power 4 provisions, sorry. 3 power 4 provisions, the top one. 3 power 4 provisions, my bad. That's supposed... You know what? Yeah, so 3 power 4 provisions or 4 power 5 provisions. And here's the difference. If you keep it at 4 power, it's relevant for the Thrive curve hugely. It's more likely to be Thrive curve relevant at 4 power when you're playing it, right? But if it's 5 provisions, whereas if you keep it... So I assumed you wanted to vote for it at 3 for 5. 3 for 5 is way too much for me, personally. 3 for 5 is a massive double nerf, and I think that's excessive. Maybe it eventually sees that, but I don't think so. If it varied for specific cards instead of all 25. I can see them considering that at some point, Alan, but I think it's... Sabbath itself is 25, but maybe at some point Sabbath and a number will become a thing. Monsters needs good 4P cards. There's good 4P cards, and then there's one of their best engines with no ceiling that can be set on turn 3. Right? That's kind of the biggest problem with this card in its current state is the lack of ability to stop it. This is a 4 provision card that you potentially cannot deal with basic 5p removal ever. That's too much, right? That's the problem. This cannot be removed with even with 5p removal that in theory should be able to clean up 4 provision cards. Certainly 4 provision engines, right? That's the problem. That's the problem. Yeah, 4 provision engines should die to that. Maybe Adrenaline. They don't tend to like putting double conditions on bronze cards in my experience. But Adrenaline may be. Because it would at least cap when... Because that would be an interesting way of putting a ceiling on it. Yeah, it demands 6 provision removal plus. Adrenaline would be really interesting, actually. Giving this card Adrenaline. Here's the problem with that. You're encouraging people to hold a card for a point in the round. I tell you what, you reverse Adrenaline it. You reverse Adrenaline it. You give it Adrenaline. Here's the problem. Sabbath already means you can't play it turn 1, 2, or 3, right? So maybe you can play it turn 3. Let's say you're on blue coin, so you've got 5 points on your board already. You play, so you probably play it turn 3, right? So all of a sudden it's getting boosts 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? So this card is potentially a 22 for 4. Normally boost by 1, Adrenaline 3 boost by 2. That could work, but again, at 4 provisions, is that not still kind of nuts? Yeah, Sabbath condition kind of already is Adrenaline, it's just the basis of this card is already too strong. Just give it a cap. I mean, the only way to cap it would be to make its Sabbath higher, but you can't make its Sabbath higher, right? You can't. Because... And what would be fun is, let's say, Sabbath 25 boosts. Yeah, it's a lot of conditions for a 4p, but it's a busted 4p, so just stop it being a 4p card, right? 3 power, and it's answerable. That's the point. This card is pretty much unanswerable in a lot of conditions. And that's the problem, right? If you have to wait a single turn to answer this, you just can't. Sucks in a short round, completely, but it's a 4 provision card, it should. All 4p should suck in that situation, right? Or should have a very, very, very rare situational... Like, you should be mulliganing away 4p cards in a short round, that's kind of the point. Right? Isn't it even too strong for 5p? At 5p, it's still an incredibly strong engine, but... You know? So, even in a short round, it makes 8 points. It's hard to get the Sabbath in the short round, right? That's kind of the point. In a 3-card round, you're not going to have Sabbath. Generally. Right? Even if you've managed to keep She Who Knows all the way to round 3, so there are 10 points on the board already, at best it's 8 points. And that's assuming your opponent touches nothing. So, At 5p, it's still better than the Beast. I think that's kind of the problem, right? Leaving it 4p and 3 power makes it answerable. Still hard to remove, just more expensive. Yeah, it's why I was inclined to say 3 power, 4 provisions. That's the way I would have gone with it. Yeah, so 3 power, 4 provisions. So it was answerable. So it got a power nerf instead of a provision nerf, right? That was what I was inclined. Also, am I the only one that now only sees Link? That looks like Link to me. I don't like it compared to the Beast. Beast is okay in a short round. Beast, but is it? In a short round of Beast is also, you drop Beast first turn, it's a 10 for 7. Like you've said, this is an 8. So an 8 for 4 is better than a 10 for 7, right? But again, you're never playing this card in the short round. You saw Link from the beginning. I hadn't really looked at this card much because there's a flying pig in it and that's more entertaining than Dark Link. But now all I can see is Dark Link. I think this needs fixing. I think this is one of the cards that's trading most above its curve. So 8 for 4 is almost like 11 for 5. I agree, Brazzo. I think it's not quite. I think it's pretty. I think it's up there. This has a lot more conditions. I think that's the only thing you would say. It has to get Sabbath, but it's not that hard to get Sabbath. You know what I mean? So, yeah. And Sabbath is really clever in the sense of you don't even play into tool removal really, because it's as long as a row has it. It's not Sabbath this row, Sabbath this row. Sabbath is a board effect. So, yeah. Monsters isn't supposed to have engines other than Thrive, because it's monsters, right? Although, not really, the Keltulis cards. So you've got damage engines, so you've got that sort of mid-range gold package of sort of what you would say were old silver cards, Beast, Empyrean Phantom, stuff like that. It doesn't tend to have many bronze engines, because that's not what it was built on. But yeah, for me, 3 power and 4, yeah. Also, I think this card definitely sees a change. I'd be stunned if this card doesn't see a change. Yeah. Really surprised if this doesn't see a change. Vigilantes, don't think they need a change. I think they were around and they're kind of fun and they're kind of memey, but in reality no one's playing them in a serious or competitive way. And they probably weren't supposed to. So, yeah. Kind of happy with that. This card is a part of the whole issue we have with Blightmaker, so already I'm in the opinion this combination is what needs nerfing. I'm not sure which way or how you do it, but yeah. There's no situation that Blightmaker doesn't get a change, but I think it's equally as unlikely that we don't see this changed. So I would say this is as problematic as this in a different way. Just remove Mage Assassin. Yeah, but then this card gets killed, right? They're not like I'm fine with the concept. I'm fine with the concept, but it's the overall package that needs a nerf, right? Because if this isn't a mage, this isn't as amazing as it is. You know what I mean? 4 points of this comes from this after all. So, any cards that weren't part of the expansion you want to see changed? Oh, well. At 10 provisions, a 5 power that can deal with a 6 power card and then spend 3... I would say of all the cards, it's this, right? Of all the cards, it's this. I know obviously Professor was on the same level previously, and I think the Professor change is now fine. I think this is far more reasonable all of a sudden. I'm fine with this going from 11 to 12. That change was a good change. But for me, this definitely needs to go to 11. I don't think changing its power helps, because removing it isn't necessary. Removing it is already very possible. Freak Show is better than Junior. Could not agree less. Could not agree less. Freak Show's a good card, but it isn't possible to do what you want to do Like, this is immediately an 11 for 10, and 6 of those points are removing a really scary card. And then you can destroy 3 power units, and it has insanity. Just, yeah. Freak Show is good. I'm not saying Freak Show isn't good. But Freak Show has nothing on this card, for me. The fact that it doesn't cost any coins to do this. And I think ultimately the big thing we're missing, like, people are talking, I've seen Siggy in chat, right? Siggy as a card has a massive, massive, massive deck building cost. Siggy as a card I am fine with. Jackpot as a leader ability? Current Jackpot is too good. For me, current Jackpot, this is supposed to be, and the idea behind this, I think, and this isn't confirmed, this is my opinion, this is me having a guessy yes. This is supposed to be a basic Syndicate list that is easy to use so that we can have a beginner faction list for Syndicate going forward, right? Fine, that's great, I'm in. Until it turns out that with 16 provisions, this is basically the most busted thing going. This probably needs a nerf, and I would go as far as to say it's better than Hidden Cache. So it at least needs to be 14p. So the fact that Syndicate doesn't need to worry about coins in most situations anymore is terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. I love the idea, but it undermines what made Syndicate harder. In reality, you just put in good cards and fulfill his conditions. Up to 8, I agree, but the problem with Siggy right now isn't the up to 8, it's the fact that you're intentionally building him to 10 because this list. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like Clown out of removal range. Yes, exactly. This is just... Twitch is being a Pega for you today. It's doing it for everyone, I think, Bass aside. Although interesting that it's America as well now. Yeah, again, my stream is showing no issues. The live feed up to Twitch is perfect. The live pings back down are fine. Apparently Twitch is having a bit of a moment. You know what I mean? Complexity and out to re-encyclopedia. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, for me, I think Jackpot definitely needs a change. I'd be stunned if we don't see 2 provisions come off this, and if it was 3, I honestly wouldn't be sad. But Syndicate overall right now is scary, still. And I think Junior definitely needs a change alongside that. I'm honestly fine with Siggy. Because outside of Jackpot, Siggy has a massive deck building cost and requires you to play bad spenders or, in Cove, use a leader charge so you don't overprofit, right? No, it's not your internet, it is Twitch. Twitch is having this issue. I don't know what's going on with their servers, but it's been on and off for a couple of days. It tends to level out because according to both OBS and Twitch themselves, my bitrate is perfect, my stream is perfect and clear, and there are no problems. But yeah, so for me, it is the simplicity of Syndicate that is the problem, or rather Jackpot that is the problem, rather than Siggy. Junior is the exception for me in that. He is the exception to that where I do think this as a card needs changing. But yeah, 13p for Jackpot I think is completely reasonable. It still fulfills... It's still going to be good. Is it going to be as good as Cove? Probably not. Is it designed to be? I sure as hell hope not. And I think then it ends up being exactly where they wanted it. It's a bit more forgiving for new players learning Syndicate. But it's not stupid. Is Tax Collector too good? No, I don't think so. I think Tax Collector's super answerable in almost every way. But in Jackpot, everything's too good because everything just becomes like a double engine, right? So, I think it's fair for what the lists of Jackpot should be trying to do. So, I think that's too far, if I'm being honest. Well, oh, we haven't got to Koshi yet. There, yeah. Koshi! Love this card. I'm an old fan of Kiki Queen lists, and this is kind of an ode to that. The buff to Indraga Lava. Yes, it was a buff. No, it wasn't a nerf. I disagree with anyone who thinks it was a nerf. Even on its own, just because of the way the Thrive curve works. This card is now nuts on the back of Indraga Lava. Lower its adrenaline by 1 and I'm happy. Here's the problem. Koshi in a 5-card round doesn't lose. If Koshi gets to a 5-card round, guaranteed Koshi cards, it beats you. Right? So you know the game plan against it. I think this gets a change. I think this gets a counter. So you mean so it can only be procced once per turn? So that the leader abilities are meh. Yeah, Koshi is just annoying. Here's the thing, Koshi is just the amount of armor and the amount of swarm and the way the points work. It's a 10 provision card ultimately, so that should be the case. But yeah, I mean, I'm inclined to say that this needs some sort of tweak. Because again, it's very hard to remove this card. By design, it's a 10p card. But yeah, actually, yeah. I mean, nobody uses Auberon for this anyway. Auberon got cut from Koshi lists like minute 1. I tried them and it just didn't work. And it was annoying because it felt like it should work. But it just doesn't, right? But Auberon shouldn't be... If you're using Auberon as double thrive, yeah. So, yeah. But I mean, the armor just pisses Syndicate off, right? If nothing else, except for Horson. Yeah, okay, so, I mean, obviously, Junior, we all know Junior is Junior, right? But, so, yes, but what you're saying is your best 2 card, like, 2 of the best cards in the game can answer this, and potentially not trade up with it. So, I like Siege, how dare you? Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, Auberon, I didn't mind Auberon the way it was, if I'm being honest. I know, maybe I could ask the reasons behind that nerf now. Maybe I will. But yeah, I think the buff to Indraga Lava, I don't think Koshi was taken into account as much as perhaps it should have been on that. The kind of soul of the card still makes sense, but I do think it's a little bit... I think it's a little overtuned. Little. Here's the problem. On a Thrive card, lowering its base power does not help. Lowering the base power of this card does not help. Because it actually makes it even easier, right? Maybe if cards that Caranthea spawns gained no armor. It still doesn't help. The Caranthea Koshi always gets answered anyway. How can you hate NR Beta? Beta Northern Realms was great. Unless you remember the old... Yeah. Thrive needs some love. I think Thrive's got a decent amount of love right now. But yeah. Which apprentice proc on Koshi and get her sat on? No. Oh no. You don't need to rewrite the rule. I'm inclined to say that a single provision is more than enough on this card, because you can't actually change its power. Right? Can't... Yeah. Yeah, I mean, okay, I remember the Henselt meta. To be fair, Henselt meta was a thing. Yeah. But sometimes it's not that easy, Holy. That's kind of the problem, right? You can... If you are on the wrong coin on ladder... You simply aren't winning round 1 against Thrive monsters with a lot of lists. So becomes a problem. The first Koshi is very answerable. No problem. Right? But if this gets you to a 5-card round, you probably don't beat it. I don't know. Increasing its power would make the spawns harder. Yes, but also it's already low enough that doesn't matter. Because... There are so many things that would proc it at 6. You're already keeping those cards, you know what I mean? So, increase its power for nerf. Yeah, but you would have to increase it so much that it wouldn't actually be a nerf, or it would just be kind of stupid and unplayable. You want peace? Fight for it. Oh, okay. They absolutely try and make it a 5-card round and almost always win. You shouldn't beat Koshi in a 5-card round. If they've kept Koshi and Caranthea, you should just lose. You should probably try and 2-0 this. As soon as you get Koshi out, you're fine, right? Yeah, I think 1 provision is fine. But yeah, this is probably the best 5-card round in the game right now. So... Yeah, exactly. If you have double Koshi, you should win that round. If you are Koshi, 5-card round, you should win. Horson's a pain, don't get me wrong. Horson's always a pain. So, yeah, exactly. You have to have so much control that everything they play they can't deal with. But can you honestly still do that? Even heavy Nilfgaard control. Have they got enough points themselves if they do that? That's kind of the scary thing, right? So, still enough points, that's kind of the problem, right? Syndicate can answer it, but Syndicate's great, right? At the moment, we all know where Syndicate is. Ball, yeah, if you go into it with Ball, but then again, you still need to have 2 locks and Ball. And how have you not, like, you know? Is that enough, honestly? Maybe. But it depends on what the other cards are, right? I don't know. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that's a guaranteed win for Nilfgaard. Because you lock both Koshis and you poison the 9, right? So, but they've already spawned at least... So you've already got at least 4 Indragars. And again, yeah, they keep Caretaker, right? Caretaker exists, Aguara exists in these lists now. So now that Aguara and or Caretaker both exist in these lists, I'm not convinced it works. Can't change Junior and not nerf the Spider. I think it needs a provision. At least 2 lavas. Yeah. You've got 1 from the Caranthir spawn, they lock it, you play the next one, yeah, so you've got at least 2, assuming they lock, but then you Aguara, like, you're always keeping those cards, right? But yeah, I think it needs a slight tweak. I think that tweak doesn't need to be more than a provision, because it's awkward to change power. The other option is you knock 2 of the armor off, because effectively it's a 6. But I don't know if this should trade so poorly with something like a Giga Scorpion. I'm not convinced that's fair. So I don't know. Kahir decks can outpoint Koshi. Yeah, okay. Well, a Kahir deck is the counter to Thrive. But no one's playing that. Or if they are, they're probably losing to 99% of other matchups, right? Why nerf Monster's only good card? Because it is not even close to Monster's only good card. Kind of OP. Great card. Monsters is very two-head. Not disagreeing with that. Monsters is not necessarily complex. But that doesn't mean it's bad. That doesn't mean it's bad. No, the Flying Pig definitely needs a change. 100% that card needs to be removable with 5p in the first turn. Lava is good still. I think Lava was buffed, in my opinion. Gold, Polite, and Forum. Thank you for the follows. Hope they change vampires. Me too. Me too. Apprentice isn't as amazing as you think. It's an unanswerable 4p engine. If you don't have a lock, in a lot of circumstances, it's an uncapped, unanswerable 4p engine. That 4p card should not have that potential. 4p card should not have that potential. Just shouldn't. What about unplayed archetypes? Oh, there's loads of those that should definitely be buffed. Apprentice to trigger at the start of your turn. Ooh, that'd be interesting. Do you think Jackpot's going to be nerfed? Yeah, and I hope it gets 3 provisions. Personally. Defender Foltest, GG, you win. Foltest is kind of crazy. But you also just pass, right? If you can't answer the Foltest, you just pass. It's annoying on blue coin, but it just means you can't win on even. It's like, oh, okay. They win the round and Siege. It depends on what you're playing. Because Siege bleeds itself as much as you bleed it, right? I love Siege. I had a lot of fun with Siege. I had a really good list. I did really well with it. But yeah, if they're playing Foltest in round 3, everybody played wrong, right? What about Devotion? I don't know. I was of that opinion too, Zoldyck. But there are as many Devotion lists as non-Devotion lists, even in a crazy meta like now. At the height, like in tournaments now, you're almost seeing more Devotion than non-Devotion because the payoffs seem to be getting better, not worse, even though direct Devotion cards aren't coming into the game. It's kind of weird. So I was of the opinion maybe, but Remember Cash? Oh, I remember Cash. It was changed. People didn't think much of it when Jack showed. But yeah. Anything that simplifies Syndicate makes it OP. It does. There's no way around that. Anything that Syndicate already is. Syndicate can hide points. That's terrifying. Syndicate, your bank for Syndicate, your coins, are points that your opponent can never interact with. That, by definition in Gwent, is OP. Effectively, all of those points are to be spent at will by the... And okay, so eventually you might be able to interact with them, but coins are untouchable points until I want to use them, and I can use them whenever the hell I want. That, by definition, is OP. Making them too easy to get, too easy to spend, or too easy to hide makes Syndicate better. Giving them effectively an unlimited purse with Jackpot makes that even harder. Keen, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the channel. How are you doing? So yeah, exactly. And it's not even like it trades 1 for 1 anymore. When it traded 1 for 1, it was still crazy that they could have 9 untouchable points. But if you're spending coins at a 1-to-1 ratio now, you're probably not doing a very good job with what's available. Because there are multiple ways of spending it better for 1 for 1. Obviously, Philippa is 2 for 1, but even Sea Jackal is better. It's 3 for 2 in most situations that you can choose when and how. Yeah. So the accessibility to those is a little scary. I mean, and yes, there are loads of unloved archetypes, and thankfully, the new development cycle means that ultimately, and I'll be quite candid, 8.5, which was the patch before this expansion, was probably, and this is going to be, and I haven't thought about this before this moment implicitly, but if it may have been my favourite meta of all time. 8.5 was incredible. Gwent was in a literal... Renaissance feels unfair, but it was that good. 8.5 felt phenomenal. 9.0 feels slightly less so, but that's inevitable from an expansion meta, right? This is also the first time we've had this kind of size. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I think they're going to get better at these 2-month cycles. So we've got this now, we've got a balance patch, but the second this balance patch hits, we're in reveal hype again. We're back to reveal hype. So we're going to get more. Do we think people still play Dead Man's Tongue? Yep, card's insane. At 7 provisions, that card's nuts. Oh, what's this? More WitcherCon stuff. That's cool. Oh, that'll be really fun. I'm definitely gonna try and watch that. So when is the balance patched? It's Tuesday next week, I think, because you've got Open 2 this weekend, and then yeah. But yeah, Dead Man's Tongue's really good because it allows you to take cards out. You can put cards like, let's say, Amnesty in your list and not use them in matchups where it's bad, guaranteeing you're not going to draw them. It thins, but you don't lose any points for the thinning. Even if I've had... Okay, terrible. I'm Nilfgaard and I've been bled and I've mulliganed my ball away, but I've had to use everything to... You know, I know I'm not going to have aristocrats. I can just get rid of ball and play it for 15 points. Dead Man's Tongue lets me literally thin ball for 15 points. Huh? So, patches, that's been changed to fit like the open schedule. Did we cover Vanadane? Yeah, I've covered every card in the new expansion cards. Vanadane, I think, needs a tweak. Even if it's just you draw, it spawns 2 waylays in your hand, and then you choose of the cards in your hand and the waylays 2 to put back into the deck. And then maybe it's okay. Because, I mean, the waylays you have play for 9, but how often do they actually play for 9? You know what I mean? Charges, maybe, but then, yeah, I don't know. Vina Beton, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the channel. But yeah, that's kind of my take on how Gwent is right now. I'm probably going to end up cutting that and putting it up on YouTube, and you guys can have another thought. Nice if it weren't always removed. That is it even played enough to be removed? Who do you lock in the Siege NR deck? You knock Foltest Pride, Foltest, and then the Reinforced Ballistas. Oh, how have we not discussed Reinforced Ballista? I want NR to be good. I love NR. Reinforced. card's insane. This card's so good. So good. So good. This is just... It's guaranteed choosable damage every single turn. Remove formation. I like formation though. I like formation. I don't want to remove formation. And it does make siege play, yeah. Ever tried a game against 3 of those? Yeah, played loads of them with 3 of those, but you have to remove them or answer them. The resupply is a little scary on 3 of them, yeah, easy. Yeah, you always play 3 of them. Just really hates ballista. True! Cooldown 2. Maybe. But that's a massive nerf, right? If it's cooldown 2, it needs to be 5 base power. So it's 6 of them. How do you... What? How? What? Huh? What list had 6 of them? +1 cooldown, decrease cooldown if you play a siege engine. Or maybe bonded. Resupply damage a random enemy by 1 would be interesting, actually. I don't hate that. I don't hate that, actually. Oh, reinforcements. Yeah, of course, yeah. If it's 6p... I don't... Siege has always been, like, the ugly stepchild of the scenarios, right? It was never actually good. It kind of lost to itself all the time because there were no good siege engines. And there were certainly no good siege engines you wanted to keep if you went into a round 3. This makes that better. I'm happy with that. Foltest's Pride being good. Happy with that. This probably trades over curve, but it is also super removable. Siege was broken on release. Yeah, that's because Triple Siege was crazy. But... Oh... My boy! Yeah, okay. Cooldown 2, reduce cooldown for every siege played. I like that. Cooldown 2, resupply reduces the cooldown, another siege engine reduces the cooldown, just like the elf. I think I'm on board with that. That I would love. I love Triple Siege. I was a Triple Siege friend.